everyone, it's Sherry Vegas here, and in this candle making tutorial we're going to be making Ebru marble candles, or Ebru inspired marble candles, and we're going to be doing that with paraffin wax and in a pillar form. So this is a new technique that I haven't shown here, so I hope you guys enjoy it. To make this Ebru marble style candle, I'm going to be using paraffin wax. Paraffin wax is great for pillar candles because it's a really hard and strong wax, and I also really like it for this particular style because you can see paraffin wax sets with a slightly more translucent base than other waxes like soy. Soy wax sets with a really white base to it, so I really like using paraffin wax for this particular style. I'm also going to be adding in some universal additive. Universal additive does a few different things for your candles, and it can work with a few different types of waxes, but the main reason why I'm using it today is it gives a really nice shine to all of my candles. Sometimes I do find when I pull my paraffin wax pillar candles out of their molds, they can be a little bit dull, not that glossy and shiny. So by adding in a little bit of universal additive, it just helps give that shine to my candles. It's really important for this technique to use the clear plastic molds, just because you want to be able to see what is happening inside the mold for the style that we are creating. So I've just got this plastic one, and I'll link it in my Amazon store down below if you want to get the same one. I do like this one because it does detach. It makes it a lot easier, one, to demold your candle, and two, it makes it a lot easier to add your wick in. I'm also using some cord wick, and you can find that sometimes it's hard to get your cord to go in. So by dipping it in your wax and then just sort of smoothing it down, it gets rid of those frayed edges, and it makes it so much easier to thread that on through into your mold. A really important step is just make sure where you put your wick in to seal that up. I just like to use a little bit of glue tack. That will just stop the wax from being able to pour out of your mold. For my first pour, I'm just using the melted paraffin wax, and I'm not adding any color into it. You can also choose whether you want to add fragrance or not into your paraffin wax. I'm pouring this around 100 degrees, and then I'm going to be pouring that right up to the top and letting that start to cool down just like this until it starts to solidify all the way up the sides and over the top, but it's still liquid on the inside. Then I just use my wick to help break that surface, and then we're going to be pouring out the majority of this wax back into the jug. I will be repeating this process a few times, so I do recommend using a metal jug. That way you can just stick it back in your double boiler or on the stove top to reheat that wax back up, instead of using a plastic jug, because otherwise you're going to have to constantly transfer it back and forward to reheat that wax up. Now with a paddle pop stick or a spoon or whatever tool you want to use, you just want to go around the inside of your plastic mold and start pulling away some of that white wax. You can either do this in a spiral going around, or you can do it really randomly, and it's up to you about how much you want to take away of that white wax. So how much of that white wax do you want to remain when you do add in the next few colors? This step is completely optional, but it does add a little bit of a sparkle to this candle once it's finished, and that is by adding in some gold leaf flakes or even silver leaf flakes if you wanted to. I like to add these in because I just think it makes it look a little bit special. I am just using that paddle pop stick that I scraped my wax out because the gold leaf flakes stick really well to it, but you can also use your finger. Just make sure that the wax isn't obviously too hot anymore, so just be careful when you are doing this not to burn your fingers. And I'm just going to press that in to the wax and also to any area that there isn't any wax there, so that way you can see the gold leaf popping through. You want to make sure that it's really firmly pressed into the mold, because otherwise when you do pour the next layer of wax in, you'll find that a lot of that leaf will just float around and go into the center of the candle, and you're not going to see it when the wax does set. So you really want to make sure that you do push it right into the side of the mold. For my second pour, I'm using that same paraffin wax that I scooped out, but this time I've colored it with a little bit of pink, and I'm pouring it the whole way up to the top. When I did pour it this time, I did drop the temperature down by a little bit. So originally I poured it at 100 degrees, and this time I poured it at 90, just so that way it didn't melt all of that original white wax too much. So I still have some of my original white wax plus my pink wax. And now I'm just doing the exact same technique I did before, making a little bit of gaps and creating some patterns, so that way when I add my next color in, you can see that coming through. I have a question for everyone watching, and if you could answer in the comments below, it would be so helpful. But when it does come to how-to tutorials, especially like art tutorials like this one, do you prefer to see like the full whole process, so time lapse with the music in the background, but that way you see everything that's happening? Or do you like tutorials that kind of just show you the exact key points that's edited down so you're only seeing like key information and it's a little bit more faster? I feel like my style is very much to the point, just giving you what you need to know, and that's what I generally prefer, but I know everyone is different, and I would just like to kind of know what everyone likes. Do you like to watch the whole process, the time lapses, and see how absolutely everything is done, or do you just kind of want the video to just tell you all of the key information? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But what I'm doing now is just adding in some mauve liquid dye, so just a few drops to strengthen that color. You can obviously choose whichever colors you like when you do create a candle like this, and you can do two completely different colors. I've just chosen to kind of do a slight ombre effect because I think it looks really pretty, and also means that I don't have to waste wax. And with my last pour, I am pouring at 90 again, just to make sure that I'm not going to melt off too much of that white and pink from the previous pours. And then I'm just using a little wick clip to help keep my wick in place, because this is my last pour, so I need to make sure that's nice and even. But I'm not too concerned about the bottom of this, because I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick to how to clean that up. But they're going to be messy anyway, because it is a bit of a messy project. And then I just demold my pillar candle, and you can see it looks so beautiful. I really love this effect, and it was so easy to demold because I use my universal additive. And then with any sort of extra bits, you can go around and just use a pair of scissors or a Stanley knife to cut that off. But one of my favorite tricks to do to kind of get a flawless flat bottom and a really beautiful finish on my pillar candles is I like to put a bit of baking paper down, and I want to put that on a stovetop. Obviously this will not work if you've got a gas stove, so definitely hot plate to use. Just a really low heat, and then I'm going to place that baking paper down, and I'm only just going to do this for a few seconds. It works really fast, and you can see it just melts that bottom, and you're going to get a really flawless and even bottom to your candle. If you have any questions about this tutorial, feel free to leave it in the comments below, or just candle making in general. I'm always happy to answer them. And if you did get some value out of this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It always helps me out. And if you are new to my channel, then don't forget to go and check out my full playlist of candle making tutorials. I also do a few other different art styles, so definitely go and check everything out and give me a subscribe if that's what you're interested in. Thank you guys so much for watching.